Hey guys, welcome back to Cristin Live Acres. In today's video, I'm going to explain to you how to source water in the wilderness, how to purify it, and how to store it so that you can get it to your temporary shelter. Let's go ahead and get right into it. No matter where you find yourself, whether it's in the woods or the desert, you're lost on a hiking trail, you're bugging out, water is your top priority. That is the first thing you need to find. So sourcing water is super important, and having the knowledge to do so can mean life or death. You remember the key, 3 days without water? You're in an environment or climate that you see moisture on the ground, but you can't find any running water. It's not raining. There's no obvious lakes, rivers, ponds. What you can do is dig a seep hole. And in damp ground, water will actually pour into any kind of crevice or hole. So if you dig a hole deep enough and give it time, the moisture will actually seep into the hole, and you can take a rag, your shirt, bandana, whatever you have, put it into there, wring it out into a container and boil it and purify it as necessary. Similarly, you can find depressions in caves, mesas, sides of rocks that have depressions in them, and they collect rainwater. You still need to purify and clean that water. However, you can use, again, a rag, any kind of cloth, sop it up, then you wring it out in your container and purify it from there. Another great tip is to follow the animals. If you see birds, bees, flies, anything like that, they absolutely have to have water. So if you start noticing the pattern that they're flying in, you need to follow that, and it will bring you to a source of water. Another tip is, if you don't see water, but in the scope of your sight you can see a living tree or a patch of grass, it may be fed by an underground spring or an underground water source. So you absolutely want to go to that and dig. It is absolutely important that you dig and dig until you find that water source, because that could be the best clean water source that you have in the area you are in. The three most important things to remember when sourcing water to make it clean drinking water is you need to filter it, you need to purify it, and you need to chemically treat it. That's your best case scenario. If you don't have all those items, there are other ways to do it, and I will explain it here next. For instance, if you don't have a traditional filter, you could use a soda bottle or any kind of bottle that you find. Take the top off, put a few holes in the bottom, and you can layer gravel, rock, and sand. So you would do like rock, a little bit of sand, a little bit of gravel, rock, so forth and so on. You could also do that if you don't have a bottle and you have maybe a pair of pants on or a pair of long shorts. You cut a large portion of that off, tie the bottom, leave the top open, do the same thing, alternating sand, rocks, and gravel, and that will filter most of the larger particles out of it. You still need to purify it after that, which is, in basic terms, boiling it. Another way to do that, if you don't have access to build a fire, would be to use the UV rays from the sun. If you put water that's potentially contaminated, more than likely it is, in any kind of container that's less than 3 inches in height, and you put it out in the sunshine for, basically it's about an hour per inch, so 3 to 4 hours. It will kill most of the bacteria, algae, and contaminants that would make you very ill. You definitely never want to drink water that you're not sure where the source is or what might be in it, because that will just further dehydrate you by making you sick, having diarrhea or stomach issues. That's the last thing you need when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to survive. As a last resort, you can drink your own urine. This is a last resort. I can't say I've ever done it myself. However, one of the best survival guides that I've ever read, and I'm not going to notate it here, but I will link it to the book on Amazon because they are not a sponsor. However, when you are dehydrated to the point of life or death, you have to put out of your mind the niceties of life. This is life or death. This is survival. So what you want to do is, first of all, never drink the first urine of the day that you produce. It's the highest toxicity urine that you're going to have all day. So you want to get rid of that. Then you still need to purify it. And kind of the same steps, even though there's not going to be debris in it, you still need to filter it. Purify it by boiling it or putting it in the sun. And if you have bleach tablets or water tablets, water purification tabs, that's best. But in the worst case scenario, you can drink your urine. On my last tip, I want to tell you, if you're coming across a stagnant pond or pool of water and you see a dead animal nearby, there's two things you need to consider. One is that animal may have died from toxins in that water, so you don't want to drink it. And two is, if that animal died for another reason, some of that bacteria or microorganisms that the body dying and decaying is producing may be running into that stream, including the waste from, their bowels. So don't ever do that. And I don't care if you boil it, purify it, put it through the sunlight. That's water you don't ever want to mess with. So I hope this has helped you guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope that you will come back and check out my next video. And I'm not going to tell you the topic today. It's going to be a surprise. But make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks, guys. Bye.